An expensive house is something almost everyone dreams of owning. It's the reason why The Sims is one of the most popular games ever created. But only a few very lucky and very rich people get to own the house of their dreams, complete with giant price tag to go with it. We're going to look at a few of those houses, then reveal the most expensive pad in the world. So let us be your realtor, as we look behind the doors that only the richest can afford. First, a very few significant and noteworthy pricey properties before the main event. These are either interesting by their design, owner or price tag. They might not be the most expensive, but you wouldn't say no if you were handed over the deeds. Bill Gates is a man that you'd expect to have an expensive home, and your expectations are most certainly met and then some. The house is named Xanadu 2.0, and if that sounds familiar, it's because Xanadu was the name of the media magnate Charles Foster Kane's huge home in the classic movie Citizen Kane. This gives you an idea of the scale of Bill's crib. Plenty of celebrities own their own home cinema, 10+ bathrooms and thousands of acres of land. But do they own artwork that can be customised by guests at a touch of a button, a pool with its own underwater music system, or even a bespoke trampoline room? The Microsoft Daddy has all of those, not to mention several high-tech add-ons that have helped this home reach the valuation of around $150 million. That may sound expensive, and it is, but that's nothing in comparison to our other high-priced habitats. Starting with Villa Leopolda. Named after King Leopold II of Belgium, it sits nicely in the French Riviera and will set you back around $750 million according to recent valuations. While Bill Gates' home boasts impressive tech, the former King of Belgium's abode is noticeable for its sheer beauty and extravagant design. Not only that, but if you have that kind of cash going spare, you'll bag yourself 19 bedrooms, each with its own elaborate sprawling private bath, and outdoor terrace, a bowling alley, several dining rooms, a number of kitchens, as well as a private movie theatre, and more than 80,000 square feet of excessive luxury. All of this, and Leo didn't even want to keep it. Instead, he gifted it to his mistress as an illicit getaway. Suppose it beats a motel. The property has had an interesting history, having been used as a hospital in World War I, owned by the head of car company Fiat, and now in the hands of philanthropist Lily Safra, a far cry from the original love nest it was used for. $750 may seem a bit steep, but it's still nowhere near the heights of our next home, and doesn't even touch the foundations of our most expensive offering, the cost of which will be revealed right after we look at our next place. Antilia in Mumbai, owned by Indian billionaire Mukesh Ambani. The skyscraper sits high above the slums of the city, and as a result is a controversial structure, standing at 27 stories. This doesn't sound so impressive until you see how high the ceilings are. They're enough to fit one of Bill Gates' trampolines in, double the amount of a normal room. The building is a combination of odd, blocky architecture, wealth on show at every turn, and facilities worthy of any billionaire, including 3 helipads, a lobby with 9 elevators, a ballroom, a temple, and of course, a spa. And if you were concerned about where you were going to park on visiting the place, then fear not, because there are 6 underground floors dedicated to housing 168 Mercs, Beamers, Hummers, or whatever you fancy driving to Mukesh's pad. Antilia is named after a mythical island in the Atlantic Ocean, but the structure is very much real and costs between $1 to $2 billion to construct. There are 600 staff members, so many in fact, that there is an entourage room where security guards and other staff can relax in between shifts protecting the 5th richest man in the world. The Ambani family themselves lord it over their staff as well as the rest of the city, 173 metres up, as they occupy the top floors of the building to get the most natural sunlight into their living quarters. And who could blame them? You don't expect Mukesh to count his wealth of $80 billion by torchlight, do you? Antilia is a very expensive house, valued at around $2 billion. A very expensive house indeed, but it's not the most expensive. It is the priciest private residence, but there is one that costs more overall than any other, and it's the primary residence of one of the most recognisable people in the world. This person was already over 30 when Mukesh Ambani was born, and could probably teach him a thing or two about luxurious living. She is the Queen of England, and her crib, aka the most expensive house in the world, is Buckingham Palace. Buckingham Palace is well known as a must-see London tourist attraction, but it's also the Queen's official residence. That being said, she doesn't spend that much time there. On the weekends she visits Windsor Castle, and in the summer stays at Balmoral Castle in Scotland. Christmas she spends in Sandringham House in East England. That's a lot of travelling for a woman approaching 100 years old. Elizabeth II is the world's current longest reigning monarch, having been head of state in the UK for almost 70 years, so for all her efforts, she gets to stay in places that anyone would find grand. The palace has 775 rooms. Of these, there are 52 royal and guest bedrooms, 188 staff bedrooms, 92 offices, 19 staterooms, and 78 bathrooms. Not only this, but the palace has everything it needs to be its own self-sufficient village, including a post office, movie theatre, police station, and clinic. In case you were wondering how the royals have access to their vast fortune for all this, fear not. There's an ATM inside the building that links directly to the royal family's bank of choice. That's just as well, because on top of maintenance of all this extravagance, the Queen needs to pay a clockmaker who works full-time at the palace. He maintains over 350 clocks and watches, but what good is a clock that doesn't show the right time? To ensure this doesn't happen, and that the Queen doesn't miss any engagements, 2 horological conservators wind up the royals' clocks every week. It's safe to say that with all these assets under the crown, Liz isn't just the Queen of England, but the Queen of expensive dwellings. But how much is this all worth? Recent valuations have put the palace at a very regal $5 billion. However, it's safe to say that the crown won't be selling up anytime soon, which is a big part of the reason for the high price. Let's be honest, most people wouldn't mind owning the Queen of England's house. So these are the most expensive houses on earth, and even using cheat mode on The Sims would be an impressive build. Whether a riverside tech compound, a lavish European love nest, an eccentric skyscraper, or a palace fit for a king or queen, these buildings have impressive assets, as well as even more impressive price tags. For a few, these places are a reality, but for most of us will stay something we can all dream about. Which of these houses would you dream living in? If money was no object, what would your house look like? Let us know in the comments below, and if you like this video, please subscribe for plenty more like it. Thanks for watching.